this debate was all about trust. On the sort of superficial level, top level, the question was who in the governing classes do you trust? Do you trust the government, the cabinet, led by Theresa May, to conduct these negotiations, or do you trust the MPs, Parliament? Do you trust them to provide oversight and guidance and so on? Now, on the side of the not allowing Parliament to get involved, there was the position put forward was that the government knows what the people wants, the people's will has been expressed, and that if Parliament tries to get involved, what they will essentially do is wreck things, and they will come along and try and stop Brexit from happening, or turn Brexit into something that's completely meaningless, or what have you. They'll do something to try and stop things from happening, and they'll tie the hands of the government as they try and conduct these difficult negotiations. So this side clearly believes in the sort of the government knows what it's doing and should be left to get on with it without too much scrutiny and involvement. On the other hand, the other side, over here, the side in favour of Parliament having a voice, says, actually, there's no way that Theresa May, Boris Johnson and Liam Fox and David Davis can know what's going on. They can't possibly know everything. They can't possibly represent everyone. These are vastly complicated negotiations, and they need the full, forceful weight of the Commons and the Lords, of all of Parliament and their select committees and so on, to provide the advice and guidance that's needed on these very technical negotiations. And MPs of, at least the Labour Party and the Conservative Party, who represent a massive majority together in Parliament, have said, or the leaderships of both parties have said, that they're not going to try and stop Brexit. They just want to have a view on Brexit. They want to have a view on things so that they can, make sure that things are being negotiated correctly. Now that's the sort of superficial level, but there's a deeper level of trust as well. There's a question of whether you actually trust the debate itself. Did you trust the debate that we had running up to the referendum? Was it a good debate? Was it conducted properly? And this is more, I think, what divides both sides. Now, we have had some people in the audience decry this as simply a rerun. You're now just trying to debate Brexit again. You're now just trying to, rehold the debate and keep holding it until you win. And as someone else pointed out, no one would do that, especially not the Leave side, who definitely didn't do that after the 1970s. But I would put forward that actually this isn't a rerun of that debate. I'd like to make the case that this is actually a separate debate, and a debate we should be interested in and looked at, even though there probably is a bias for the people on the Remain side to question the veracity of the debate and the people on the Leave side to accept it. But this question is all about, was the debate fair? There was a lot of people who were on this side saying, no, the debate wasn't fair. There was lots of misinformation, lots of press misleading people and so on. And lots of, lies printed on the sides of buses and so on and so on. And also, in addition to that, they say, well, there's also the problem that we didn't define everything. It's not like everything was defined. There are loads of things that we didn't say how it would work, like the common fisheries policy and Europol and da-da-da-da-da. All of these things that weren't defined in the debate and have to be debated. We can't just assume that that we have the answer to them. We need to know what the answer is. Whereas on the other side, we have the idea that, no, it was clear. We knew it was going to be a leap in the dark. We knew that there was going to be uncertainty, but we did it anyway. We voted for the broad general principle, and that should be upheld. We can't just, bog down now that we've had the overarching debate on strategy, we can't just go, right, well, we're going to bog it down in detail and ignore what you voted for. We knew we were going to get into an uncertain future, but we voted for it anyway, so we should go with that. And the question over whether you think Parliament should get involved is not just on whether you trust Parliament more than the government, or vice versa, but it's also a question of whether you trusted the initial debate in the first place to be both full and fair. Was it full and fair? debate leading up to the referendum? Do you think the people really had their say and really understood what they were saying and really said, said the completeness of what they should say? The final thing I will say is that both sides, so I'm not restricting this to one side, I noticed speakers on both sides, not just the speakers up here, but speakers in the audience as well, make sort of semi-veiled threats. The threats of, well, if you don't listen to us, there'll be trouble. Or, you know, if you don't listen to the 48% of people who voted Remain or the 52% of people who voted Leave, there'll be riots on the streets. We'll be rising up. You know, we'll be bashing each other with signs and so on. One thing I think is true is that we are all in this together, and we have to make good of it, whether you think it was a good decision or not. And the sort of veiled threats of, if you don't listen to us, we are going to do something nasty, is not good. And we should put aside those attempts at threatening the other side or intimidating the other side with the possibility that democracy, we could just decide democracy is dead and go back to mob rule. So please let us leave aside that aspect of the debate. Thank you very much.